Hey, what's up? We should be live. Thank you so much to everyone who's here. I'm gonna take a look on my end, see that I'm audible and everything is working properly. How are you? Let me know. Hope everything is well with you. Today we're gonna do something fun, something I normally don't do, at least not in recent, feels like years. Haven't really take a look painted such a scene specifically. And everything is okay. Good. Looks like I working properly. How are you? Let me know. Volume a bit. Hope everything is actually, no, mute desktop volume. Okay, hopefully you can hear me now and you can hear me well. Let me know. The audio feels a little low, but I don't know. And let me switch over and see you can hear me here as well. I think that it works. I'm just gonna test it out for a second. Yeah, okay. I had two audio channels open. OBS is always a headache, so let's see. It should be okay now. But in any case, hey Golden Pigeon, hope you're doing well. Hey Minute by Minute channel, hope everything is well with you. So I'm gonna test it out for a couple more seconds. Okay, good. We are good. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna mute this video on my end. I hate hearing myself while I talk. It's the most confusing thing ever. Hey Sally, hope you're doing well. I'm such a boomer when it comes to streaming. Hey Dwayne, hope you're doing well. So yeah, basically we're gonna paint. Is it here? Is it here? This scene. Ew, what is that? I'm drinking coffee, but there was something there. Disgusting. Hey Lydia, hope you're doing well. So yeah, we're gonna paint this nice little landscape. Something I don't usually paint. I wrote it in the description, I think, or in the when I shared this in the Instagram stories. It's a bit more of a prettier scene than I usually paint. I'm a big fan of neutral colors that I can exaggerate myself, as opposed to very colorful colors that I kind of have to not struggle against, but try and recreate as well as I can. Although if you just allow yourself to go as colorful as you want, you'll usually end up in the ballpark. So that's good. Hey John, hope you're doing well too. Sorry, got the burps. There we go. I'm like a baby. But in any case, yeah, I got my coffee here. I got a bottle of water. And yeah, we're gonna paint this. So the way I'm gonna approach it, it's gonna be a little experimental. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna paint it. I think I'll just approach it in shapes. I'll be highly focused. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna look at it as shapes of color. I did put a link in the description box. You can find my own sketch if you want to use it. It's probably gonna be a little confusing because it's there's a lot going on in the scene, and I really simplified the sketch, and it's a small painting anyway. I can show you here real quick, and then I'll show you over on the desk. That's what I have here. Quite simplified. I know how to follow it because I sketched it. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do in just a couple of moments, but I do want to say hi to everyone and see who's here. Hey, HMFT. Lola, right? Hi, Liron, your sound is quite low on my end. I'm not sure if it's just my issue. Yeah, I don't know. I just cranked up my own speaker's volume just so that I can hear myself better. Honestly, I don't know why it would be low. There's no real reason for that. Looking over the settings on my end, everything looks about right, kind of normal. So yeah, I'm not sure. It's bumped all the way up. I can just speak louder or maybe adjust this. Let's see. Maybe like this it'll be better. I don't know. My apologies if you can crank up the volume on your end. Now hopefully that can work. Hey, Desi D. Clark, how are you doing from Montana? Cool. So yeah, I think let's get started because this is going to be an interesting kind of process to work on, almost in chunks. Oh, thank you for letting me know that the sound is okay there. So yeah, no, I can hear it low too, so it's not just you, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So yeah, let me take you over to the desk and we'll get started, and I will... Actually, my laptop's in the living room, so let me get that first. I'm going to switch over to the desk. I can still talk to you as I do this because, again, the speaker is on me. It's kind of a lav thing. Totally forgot to just bring my Mac with me so that I can actually see what I'm painting. That's my bad. It's in the other room. Again, I told you because I'm working on this huge commission painting. So give me one moment to set it up and we'll be good to go. There it is. I kind of forgot that I actually need to see what I'm doing, you know, kind of the basics here. So let's see, I'm gonna send this scene over, Dropbox, I'll get it there, and we will get started. So yeah, and I can also just look at it on the screen. Let's see, 1 second here. Hey Sheldon, Shelly from the Jersey Shore. Here you're fine. Thank you so much for being here. Hey Laurie, hello from Maryland, loud and clear. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move over to the desk. I'll just make sure that I can see the reference photo and that I can see the live stream. Another thing I want to make sure, kind of important, so that I can see or yeah, restore my tabs. Why not? So that I can see your messages, questions. Oh, there's a strange light here. Let me see if I can fix that. Shadow. Okay, the shadow comes from the desk lamp. I'm just going to turn it off for now. Hopefully it will still be well lit. I can open up the blinds a little more. This is a real impromptu cozy setup. I don't know why things were so not set up for some reason, but here we go. My channel, I'm gonna just join my own live stream, see your comments and see the reference photo. Sorry for the little delay. At least I have my supplies ready to go. My tools of the craft. Okay, we'll get started. So I'm gonna explain to you what you're looking at because this is a bit of a mess, I will admit. So we have the, where am I? There we go. Okay, good. Very good. Okay, now I see everyone. Hey, Tiny Face McGee. Hey, Birgit. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Steven. Hope you're doing well. Watercolor. Wylock. Oh my God, Liron, your palette seems a bit of a mess. How do you know what color it is? You'll see. You'll see in the process. Did you learn the location by heart? Kind of. Yes, that too. Yes, thank you so much, Jan's Art. And hey, Fiona. Hope you're doing well. Let's get to it. And you let me know if there's any issues on your end, audio, whatever it is. So I'm going to start by pre-wetting. And I will talk a bit about what's in here. So basically we have this, this bit of land here. It's going to be fairly warm. We have the sky here in the clouds. We have this mountain ridge and we have a bunch of trees, their shadows, a lot of greenery. That's pretty much what we're playing with. So I will probably start with the sky. Now I will clean my palette because this is the thing with these pretty scenes. You do want to, if you want to capture the colors somewhat accurately, you kind of need to keep things a little clean in the beginning. After that, it doesn't matter as much. So yeah, I have a bunch of blues here. I'm just gonna play around with whatever I get until it feels like what I'm after. And I do have this trustworthy test paper here. Let me do this kind of a thing. I'm gonna anchor this part of the palette. There we go, okay, better. So, for example, this is a nice little option for the sky. I'll mix it up with a bit of this nice little weaker blue. And I think we have a good color to start with. And what I'm gonna do is probably pre-wet some areas. Believe it or not, we're doing things a little differently here. Now let me just go ahead. I just want to organize something here. There we go. Now I have a bit of an angle, and we can get to it. So I'm gonna pre-wet some small areas. And look, the thing is, we're gonna start somehow, and we'll see how it progresses. These kind of things tend to be build up gradually. You know, the whole trust the process kind of a thing does apply here a bit. And the only thing you can really do is kind of paint and trust in a way that the accumulation of everything you're doing is going to work. Now, I don't actually trust it. I don't like trusting the process. I talked about that before. I just know. But in the beginning, quite frankly, you won't know, and that's okay. So I don't want to pretend like you should know or should this or that. So I'm getting started here painting between those clouds. Those lovely clouds. I did pre-wet some areas so that I can get a varied edge, right? I think the blue is fairly good for our purpose. Now the clouds actually help us here. They help us a lot in making a frame so that we can pace ourselves, so to speak, with the sky. I'm gonna add just a touch of more color and strengthen some of the sky. I have a feeling it'll need that because it's really, really wet right now. And because this ends here, so I can almost pause there. Almost. You'll see why. No, is this too strong? I don't think so. I actually think it's gonna dry super light. So even though it looks a little strong now, I'm gonna trust that it won't. Now I'm gonna add a bit of black here to neutralize, and a bit of yellow too, I think. This is way too blue, so I'm gonna add more of my warms, more of my yellows here. Doesn't really matter which one you pick up when it's such a neutral color. That's the thing. That's the thing people, you know, worry about. It doesn't matter particularly because we're looking for a very neutral version of that. Almost a clean gray. And I think that's what we got now. I think we can work with that. So look at what I'm doing here. I'm gonna use it here on this transition from sky to cloud. And I will probably use it here too. And this kind of a loose, lighter gray cloud. Can you see that cloud? It's a little gray, like so. And I see a layer of the cloud here, so I'm actually gonna do that. And my apologies, I can't look at the chat right now. I will do that in a couple of moments. And then I'm gonna loosen up this edge right here. Come back with more water. I'm using just a normal Skoda brush, round. This one in particular is a Perla size, I don't even remember. I think it's a 10 or 12, something like that. I'm gonna break off this hard edge here. Just kind of entering into the cloud, right? And you can take as long as you need to render these details. Let me shut my phone, or no, you know what? I'm not gonna shut my phone because I may get a phone call, so I'll keep it for now. Like that, and I'm gonna start shading the bottom of that cloud. Now, look at how the clouds really help us here. They divide the sky up in different areas, and it just makes it a little more manageable. If you really have the patience and the desire, by the way, to really build things up slowly, that's the kind of thing you get. Let's see, we're all good. Okay, yes, I got it, Lola. I'll try and give you an update on that too. Okay, so we're done with this cloud pretty much. I do want to make sure we're getting a soft edge here up top. Sometimes doing this swoosh a little slower can really help with that. And now that we got that, we can continue with the sky. So you see how I just paused here? And you know, people are worried about the evenness of washes, the flow of washes. In my experience, not that big a deal. You can just stop and then continue. like so. And then this isn't a cloud, actually, there's a tree there, so I'm just gonna cover this whole area up. Probably all the way down to here. There is a cloud here. And I should probably switch to a larger brush. Let's see if I can real quickly do that. There we go. As clean of paint as I can muster. And look, we're gonna go into the cloud here, and between the shapes of the cloud, okay? Something like that. Now, because I'm not going to play around with the paint too much over there, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get a relatively smooth transition. But just, you know, if you start to really mess with it, you'll start hurting the smoothness of the washes. So that's something I do try to limit if I'm dealing with a very sensitive subject like skies, where I am looking for some gentleness to them. I'm going to get a background here, but that's fine. It's not going to be a major source of concern. We're carving out the shape of the clouds. And here we have another one. Now here we get to that layer of ground. So that's going to be green. I can pause there and continue all the way down to here and kind of design the shape of the bottom of the cloud. Something like this. I think that works, actually. And then all I need to do is smoothen out that edge I just added. So the edges are just going to be smoothened one onto the other, hopefully seamlessly. Can you see that? And then here, same thing on the other side. I want to loosen it up in some spots, not in all of them. And then have that same gray from earlier, if I can recreate it close enough, and kind of start hitting the sky with it. Loosening up that edge right here. And I find that if I follow that kind of a process, I'll usually end up with something that isn't overworked and still feels quite natural for a sky. That's kind of how I do it. I don't normally go into that much detail in the sky. You know it. This is kind of an exception for me. But that's the process the people have asked for. So I will try and you know, see what I can get away with here. And lastly, one piece of the puzzle I kind of forgot. Maybe it's too late, maybe it isn't, is I did not smoothen out these edges enough. Let's see if we can get some smoothing action here. Yeah, that's good, that works. And yeah, so this was, not gonna lie, a challenging wash. So let me see what you're saying here in the chat, and we'll continue there. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. Oh, we're good, we're good. People are watching, so they're not chatting, which is nice. Let me get my coffee, by the way. There we go. You know, I don't know why lately I just can't bring myself to drink any kind of milk. Also no substitutes. It's just not tasty for me. I don't know why my taste has changed. I have no idea. I just tried and I hate it. So I just dropped the milk. I'm just drinking, you know, just the coffee. I just hit the button, the Americano button on the machine. That's what I drink. So yeah, would be nice to update us on your streaming video settings. I mean, equipment and stuff. Maybe a separate video. Yes, indeed. I will try and do something like that. Yes. So I think we can begin moving on with maybe a bit of that mountain ridge. See what we can come up with there. Thank you so much, Laura. Really appreciate it. So we actually have a couple of layers here. I'm gonna start mixing. Kind of feel like taking the palette in my own hands, taking my destiny in my own hands, and just try and get the color to look as accurate as I can. It's gonna be a neutral kind of French ultramarine, I think. Let's see. You know, I have trouble with blues. I've been having these trouble for a while now. I don't know why they elude me so much, why they confuse me so much. I had a blue here that's quite useful if I recall. Kind of a Prussian-y looking. Yeah, that's good. That's closer to what I need. It needs to be stronger, but not really that strong. Okay, so let me see if this is close to what I have on screen. Yeah, I think that works really well. So I'm gonna try and drop this in one go as best as I can. There's a bunch of trees here that I'm kind of painting around, but we'll see. So it starts like this, and then it goes actually a little lighter and a little bluer. So let's see if I can get that working. Yep, that's good. My wash is fairly, I would say, dry, as you may be able to tell. And I'm just going to smoothen out that edge. So this gives us one of the mountain ridges. And hopefully I haven't dug too deep into the highlights. Actually, I might have the green highlights. So let me just add a bit of water here, because we're going to need this part to be a little brighter later on. That's good. We won't see any of like this section, so it's fine. There we go. We got that. Now we do have that kind of ridge behind it. It's a little more gray, which is fairly interesting. So it's going to be here. I'm going to just take the risk and go for it, even though it has this wash next to it. Let's see if I manage to do that. It has some highlights because it has some snow in it, which is really nice looking. And as it moves down, I don't know why today's theme is I'm patient whenever I feel like being patient. I'm very impatient whenever I don't feel like it. Now as we move down, we're going to get a bit green, and a darker green at that. So let's see. Still needs to be quite neutral. So I'm really playing here on the nuances. So something like that I think could work. And this is me just sculpting out the mountains, you know. It's shape by shape, which is a fun thing to do. That's going to be that. And then we have another mountain that's the original blue, but lighter. So let me see if I can get that thing going. It's here, and I actually painted over it with some of the sky, but it's fine. So you see how I painted these in one go, didn't take any breaks. You don't have to do it this way. I felt like, you know, leaving this small space there would work well. There is this waterfall. We can add that later on. It's barely visible in the distance, but that's the beginning. You start seeing it come to life very slowly but surely. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. Okay, no need. Everyone's focused, man. Okay, good. If you have any questions, if you want to ask me, you know, anything about just about anything, feel free to. You know, you don't have to be quiet. It's okay. Now, I'm going to do something fun here. I think I'll switch modes a bit and work on this shadowy section. Let me just clarify where the trees go. So we have this kind of a thing, and here the tree begins. So I'm going to have to start somewhere around here, I think. There's a gap here, and then it goes all the way down to here. Okay, good. So I think we're good. So I'm just going to start rendering this shadow. Honestly, I don't know how it will turn out. I'll try. There's a bit of darkness here, and then there's a pattern of waves. There's a bit of a highlight within it. Let's see how we do. So I actually need more of an ultramarine-y, kind of chill blue to get started here. Yeah, that's good. So let's see. I'm going to spend some time on this wash, so I'm not too worried if the colors aren't what I'm after right out the gate. It's okay. It can take some time to render this, as well as the shape. The shape is fairly complex. I wouldn't say it's an easy shape. Now we're going to switch over to more of an ultramarine for the edge here. Something like that. And again, when you start seeing things as shapes, these things will start happening very naturally to you. You'll just, you know, you'll see things for what they are, and you'll be able to recognize more nuances quite easily within those said shapes. In the beginning it is a bit of a challenge, but once you do it a couple of times, it gets quite a lot easier. I'm gonna go a touch lighter, so I added a bit of water there over this kind of a ripple thing. And now I'm gonna take a few moments to darken whatever needs darkening. So I left a bit of water here for a clean edge. I'm gonna darken just this area here, this tip. I'm gonna add a bit of a pattern that's gonna look like waves and ripples. Again, I can hold it up close for you to see, but it's not, I'm not doing anything that's rocket science here really. I'm just establishing some shapes. The tricky bit is seeing them. And it's not easy, and that's okay. That's something that will be built with time and experience, and that is perfectly fine. There's a bit there that's more neutral actually, so I'm gonna do that. It's a bit more black here, coming down all the way here. And this is a small shape again. You can paint this entire thing larger and have a bit more control, but I'm staying relatively small scale here, okay? So something like this. What does matter to me is that this entire thing will read as one shape. So that does matter to me. So if I can keep it as unified as I can. I kind of went too slow here on the wet and wet, but it's not going to hurt it too badly. Ideally, I would have done it sooner, like here, but that's fine. I just want this to feel like one shape. And when you're looking at it and you're wondering, okay, it's a mess, like I don't know what I'm looking at, that's fine. We still don't have close to all the context, so don't worry about that. Now I'm going to add a bit more of this blue, and we're just going to continue with this shape all the way to the right, and then it does switch to a more tropical blue. So here we go, kind of similar, more similar to the sky, I would say. There's a bit of blue here. Let me just leave that and kind of spread it out a bit. There is a darker thing here, so I'm gonna leave it for now like that. That would be a lot of the water crashing, okay? Now there is an interesting layer that I forgot to draw and I want to add now, which is a more turquoise version of the water. And it goes kind of all the way to here and crashes in the process. So it's something like that I do want to establish now. Now what we're doing is we're painting different layers of color so that the white areas that have the ripples in them and all of that good stuff will mean something. That's essentially what we're doing here. So let me try and see if I can mix this awkward greenish blue. These are, once again, colors I'm having sometimes a harder time with, but you know what? I am closer than I thought. Maybe a bit of lemon yellow there will get us closer. Let's see. Yeah, that's actually quite nice and not too far. Okay, good. It does need to be a little more green, you know? Let's see if I can get there. Let's see. What is that? That gets close. So a bit more of that yellow. It's all experiments. I think that's good. I want to neutralize it just a touch. Let's see if I can with a bit of red. Yeah, I think this will work. So let's see that we're good. Yeah, okay, good. I see some questions. We'll get back to that in a second. So here it is. I'm gonna start placing in this very different kind of blue that shows some of the water between the places where they crash, you know, the in-between layer of water. There's actually quite a lot of interesting nuances there. I'll get most of them in a second. You'll see the pattern starting to emerge, but for now, I'm gonna keep it simple, for now, okay? And I do want to go ahead and kind of smoothen out this area. So it'll start happening slowly. I do see lighter areas that are a mix of the two, so let's try and go for that. While we have that color here, it's kind of the in-betweens of the ripples, you know, there's a pattern, And we're gonna try and follow it as best as we can, even though it's not really easy sometimes to see these things. But we'll see. The more we start adding more values and darks and lights to the scene, the more sense these ripples will make, okay? But I think for the green ones, that's pretty much what we're getting here. I think something like that should do the trick for now, okay? I don't want to go overboard here so that I lose the pattern. So let's give it a rest for a couple of seconds, see what, let me read some of your messages and then we'll continue. Tiny Face McGee, would you consider doing a life drawing course? I want to learn artist anatomy with watercolor technique. Yeah, that would be interesting. It's not even close to being on my radar. Not because I don't want to, just I don't see it fitting in with my current work plan. Actually, let me go back to the desk for a couple of moments. It'll be a little easier to read your messages. Sorry, we're going to take a quick intermission from the process. Okay, good. Here we are. Let me turn on this light here just so that you see me better. We'll turn it off in a second. I look shiny. I'm not that sweaty. Why do I look so shiny? Okay, yeah, so I would love to, but that's not even close to being on my radar. Sorry, my friend. Lola, I get a question. I love it how you don't... Oops, wait, I missed a bunch. Okay, yeah, we talked about the palette. Hopefully you see me now finding my way. Okay, good. Yeah, got a question. I love it how you don't care about some white spots on your painting, like on the sky. Now, my OCD kicks in always, and I can't leave with any white spot. Yeah, you know, if they're very visible, it does bother me as well. It's just so not visible. I can imagine it's a piece of a cloud or something like that, so I don't care about that as much. When I paint even smaller than this, which doesn't happen much, or, you know, usually I paint larger, and for example, the huge painting I'm working on right now, you'll never notice these things. The viewer will never notice. I don't know if it's just a personality thing. I can get a bit OCD about stuff, but not that kind of a thing. So I don't know if it's a matter of personality or something like that. I don't have any solution for you, like how to not feel that way. That's just how I am, really. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a good insight on that. Do you think it adds to the watercolory effect? You mean those little dots? Sometimes they do. Sometimes if they're really unwarranted and they're not in the right spot, then they won't. Trish, I'm experimenting with gouache painting with you. Cool. I only have red, blue, yellow, and white. Is it possible to mix your sky blue with this limited palette? Yes, but it will depend on what blue you have. So you'll need to have the most neutral, cleanest blue. Now, it doesn't really matter if you don't match my blue perfectly. That's the thing. That's the part that doesn't matter as much. But it will depend on your blue. If you can get the most neutral cyan, kind of neutral between cyan, cobalt, blue, you'll do well. If you go too tropical, like phthalo blue, you won't be able to produce some of the greens, even though I used a lot of phthalo blue for this one too. So yeah, or you could just decide, you know, I'm going to use a blue, I'm going to use my blue, the blue that I can come up with, because it will be, as long as it's consistent all throughout the painting, you'll be fine. Sorry, I skipped Marjorie's message. Interesting, so many approaches to landscape painting. Must be the palette color placement made sense to you too, if you can find the colors. Yes, no, it makes a lot of sense, Marjorie, thank you. Yeah, and about approaches, you know, you could paint this like everyone does with an initial wash, kind of tint the paper, do that whole thing. I don't care, honestly. You know, I'm not after following a methodology. If I feel like doing an overarching wash that covers the entire paper, I will. If I don't, I won't. My default, my go-to, my personality is not that of doing that. I won't stop myself from doing that if I feel like doing it, but usually I don't, so I don't force myself, you know? I was thirsty. My only issue is, it's a bit of a rant, but people that paint just based on a method. First you do this, you cover the whole paper. Then you do that, and I think teachers in general don't do a really good job at emphasizing how the reason they're doing it is because it works for them and because they, in the moment, they know that's how they want to tackle a wash. Not because this is how you paint the first wash, you know, and look at how I'm doing this. I'm working in sections, totally in sections. Even though it's a landscape, everything should flow together, it should be soft. I don't really work that way. So I don't mind people who work that way, but you don't, you know, if you work that way because you have to, it's gonna lead to a bunch of problems. I'm not like that. I think teachers often have the teacher's ego where you want to see people succeed with your methods and your approach. But the downside is this blind belief that that's the way to tackle a painting. A lot of teachers do a good job at addressing it. A lot of teachers don't. It's pretty much down the middle. That's my thoughts. So yeah, plenty of ways to paint a landscape. There are ways I haven't even began to ponder yet that may work for me and I haven't even thought of, you know? So yeah. Tiny, that's a great idea, yes. And good morning, Jacqueline, hope you're doing well. Sally, I'm not sure what you mean by no misket or no mistake. I don't know what you meant. But let's continue. Let's talk a bit about the plan for the next couple of washes. So we can actually continue where we want to. I'll probably start working on some greens here. I don't know why. I feel like starting with this section right here is a bit of a muted. It's funny. It's almost like I'm painting from back to front. I don't know why I do that, but it looks like that's how I'm doing it. I may also address these emerald water here because I already have that similar color. We'll figure it out. I'll sit in front of it and then I know. That's usually how it works. It's very hard to know in advance. And thank you so much. Very, very happy to have you here and happy you enjoy this process. So let's go back to the desk. Let's see here. And we'll figure out what the next step is kind of as we move along, I think. So yes. And let me turn off that light here. There we go. We don't need any strange cast shadows. Okay. Where do I want to continue? How about birch trees? I'd love to see how you paint them. Yes, I love birch trees, Tiny Face McGee. I love them. I want to do more of them. I did a few. You may be able to catch some of them in my paintings, but I want to do some more of them and more focused maybe. Jacqueline, I find some of my student work very slow and detailed. That's not how I work, but I tell them it's okay. I'll let them know different teachers click better with some. Yeah, and you know what? They can still be your student and work differently. That's fine, you know. I love it when a student of mine just goes for it and does things the way they want to. I'm perfectly fine with that. Most people aren't going to paint like you, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start with this. You know what? Let me pre-wet. I have an interesting plan for this little bit here. I'm going to pre-wet this area right above it. I do see there's a soft transition. Then I'm going to get back my emeraldy tropical turquoise. And you'll notice it then transitions. Again, everything is small here. It's a small piece of paper and a scene with a lot of details. Should have probably, in retrospect, painted it on a bit of a larger piece of paper, but that's fine. And then look at how it switches to a more of a, also darker, but more ultramarine blue. And then as we move down, it's gonna go quite a lot darker. So I'm gonna start with, actually this is the one I like better. Let's see here. Or maybe it wasn't this. Yeah, I remember on the go. So yeah, this is a good dark to start implementing, just to show the kind of shore effect. And then if we go a little lighter on that, some of it is starting to peek from within the water ripples. Again, a lot of it is just negative painting, you know, you're negatively making the viewers imagine the details, which I love. Now this could be a little more on the warm sienna-y side, but that's fine. And if we go back to our initial turquoise, I do see some interesting smaller iterations of it back here. And then we have just this shadow, it's a little more ultramarine-y. And again, what I'm doing here is I know that things are going to connect. Will they connect perfectly? Honestly, I have no idea, but I know if I just paint this scene step by step, slowly but surely, things will start to connect. Nothing really guarantees a good result, but you can strive for it and see what happens, basically. And then we have this nice little layers of ripples behind there. Kind of like that. Everything is small here. It's a very small scene squeezed into a small space. Large scene rather. And here we do get a bit more of these shadows, so I'm going to include them here. I'm going to add a bit of my magical blue here. I think it needs it here as well. It's a bit more of a... that's where the type of blue really comes into play. This Verditner blue is just better suited for these kinds of colors. And then I'll go a little lighter here on the back. Kind of paint that. For now, what you're seeing is indeed a lot of fragmented shapes. That is fine. We're gonna slowly build upon it and alleviate that. So now we're seeing a bit of a neutral. I'm gonna continue with the ripples for now because I feel like it, actually. So we're seeing a bit more of a neutral version of some of the ripples, a little more gray. A lot of them, actually. In layers, kind of indicating the directions where the water moves downstream. And again, once we start darkening the areas surrounding these ripples, it's going to start making more sense. For now, you are seeing just a bunch of paper white. So don't worry about that. We have more of that initial turquoise here next to the shore, if you will. Something like that, with some ripples in between, and then it actually goes into it's a neutral kind of blue. Let's see if I can capture that. I'm not sure if that's the color. Yeah, it looks about right. So that's gonna be around the shore, if you will. Here as well. Here as well. It's kind of almost like little waterfalls right here. Now these quickly switch over to a more brown warm. So I'm gonna create a loose edge here as best as I can with some just water. And we'll continue tending to that in a second. But you're starting to see there's flow maybe of water here. So we have to start addressing some of the trees and the details. I'm actually gonna start with this bright highlight of a tree. I don't know what you'd call that, but let's see here. So I am going to once again clean one side of my palette. And we'll begin with my very bright lemon yellow. We'll start bright and see what we can get away with. These yellows are a great way to paint greens, actually. And then once we darken the tree around, it's gonna mean more. I could go wild and kind of just paint all of these in, but I don't know, I feel like being a little slower this time. I don't know why. Just mood, you know? It's just the way it is. So we have this kind of singular tree that's gonna pop once we add a bit more context around it. That's fine that it's not yet, you know, lighting up, but notice what happens here. Once we move beyond a certain point, it goes a little more neutral. I bet you that this blue will help. So let's see if I can kind of quiet it down with a bit of this blue over here. See, there's kind of a shadow over it. And then it kind of wraps the entire tree. And that tree is quite bright, generally speaking, because I am... it's in the front, it's quite strong. I want to show it. I want it to have some prominence. So, and that reaches all the way to the hole that we see through, if you remember that from earlier. Then I can almost pause around here. Here it actually should get darker, but we'll leave that for later. I think, you know, let's try. Hopefully we don't destroy the whole thing, but I think we could just start establishing some of these darks. Just start. It's not going to be fully detailed yet. Maybe indicates some of them. It will start making more sense, of course, the more we add context and details and whatnot. These are the gaps between the branches, what we're seeing right now in dark. The dark is the gaps between the branches. Now back to some lights. So we still have this strong tree here. Not as bright as this part, but still quite strong. And that's gonna come down all the way to here. Something like that. And around here we actually have quite strong blues that envelop the tree. It's actually the ground and it's a blue-gray. So we can just go straight into that if we want to. But I'm going to neutralize it with a bit of warmth because right now it's too green. There we go. And that's going to be that piece of shore, I guess, right under the trees. Again, once we have more context, it will make more sense. But for now, this is good enough. And we'll add a bit of that same blue that I'm almost running out of right here. What are you gonna do today? Feel free to share your plans with me. If you're gonna do anything interesting, I'd love to know. I'm gonna do, probably we're gonna have a barbecue with some friends. So I'll go buy a bunch of stuff after this stream. I'm gonna take Ruth for a walk, get some things from the local deli thing. There we go. Okay, that's good. And now let's put in this tree here, this little, I don't know, pine tree, whatever it is, this very neutral green. It's almost just a black color. I'm gonna add a touch of yellow to that. And we'll see how it goes. It's pretty strong. So this would be the main, I guess, branch. And out of that branch, I'm seeing a very specific pattern of these kinds of flat up top and just kind of goes down like this. I don't know if you see the same thing I see. Hopefully that will read. You know, I'm not a big fan necessarily of using shticks and brush tricks to create textures. I just don't enjoy it as much, but in this case it's just really the shape I'm seeing. So let's see if we can kind of get away with these shapes here. A bit more black. By the way, the only reason I'm sometimes not a fan of doing it this way is just because I usually find it too much of an oversimplification. It doesn't actually look like the thing when you look at it eventually. That's the only reason, because I do like the accuracy, so sometimes it feels just too inaccurate for my taste. If it is accurate though, I'll enjoy it a lot. So I'm gonna try making it look like whatever tree that is. And this feels good. This feels really, really good actually. I got a notification from Windows. I have no idea what it is. Hopefully things are still running. It looks like they are. But yeah, let me look at some of the, or you know what, before I'm gonna look at what you write, let me real quick address this right section. Well, this is still a bit wet, I guess. So this side, I'm gonna get quite dark. I'm gonna get a bit of a warm here. Let me wet the palette again, the entire thing. A bit of warmer yellow here just for the edge of that tree, something like that. And then we can switch over to a bit more of a green. I think this will do. Yeah, I think that works. And don't worry, we're gonna darken this whole thing up in a second. Just wanna kind of cover it up all the way down here. There we go. Now we'll start darkening. So this is a high risk move, but because this is the edge, really the tip of the edge of the trees, I can just get away with it. So I'm gonna show some of the branches behind the tree of a darker tree. I don't know if it's another pine tree, but you see, I'm starting to carve out its shape. And then right from the inside, there's a lot of dark shadows down below that lead to quite a dark background here for this tree. And check it out, and then I'm gonna take a break after this wash. This is like a very intense types of washes I'm doing here. I want to go a little darker but green. So let me grab a bunch of my, blues, and we're gonna start, see? The heart of the tree. It's not black, but it is like a dark blue. And hopefully that starts to make sense or be interesting, even if it's not, it doesn't look exactly like it, that's fine. It starts to look interesting, hopefully. And then you do see gaps of darkness behind this tree, some of them. Something like that. Here. Now, probably also in the heart of the tree, there's a bit of that, so let's see if we can get away with some of this pattern of darks. Hopefully we can. I'm gonna soften up these areas just a bit. And hopefully that makes sense. This is like a time-consuming painting. Let me go back to my screen here. We'll chat a bit. This is a long process. I wasn't expecting it to be this demanding, but let's see. The next couple of washes are going to be faster because there are larger simplified shapes. So for example, we have this large shape of greens. It's pretty much going to be this one and then the back in one go, I think. I'll just kind of unfocus the scene in my head and see what we can get away with in one go. Sorry about that. And yeah, so let me see what you're saying here. There's a lot of comments, okay. Jacqueline, I fight some of my students. Yeah, we talked about that. That's good. Birch trees. Sally, masking fluid for white and water. Yeah, I love to paint around stuff. So that's me. You don't have to do it this way. That's why having many different teachers is the best. Yeah, it's almost, I don't even look at it as taking a bunch of stuff from different people. I look at it more as what do different teachers evoke in me. So they make me see something in a different way, and then I use that thing that relates to me. Jacqueline, I love painting waterfalls. Awesome. Yeah, they're challenging. To me, I find them challenging. Hussein, hi Liron, what's your rationale behind not starting the painting with an overall wet and wet wash? Because I have no real reason to. The one advantage an overall wet and wet wash would give you is that you'll have less white specks and dots, but unless you're really looking to merge a bunch of areas together, I don't see a reason to use a lot of wet and wet. So for example, this area of trees is separate from the mountain. The mountain is separate from the sky. This group of trees is separate from the sky. This ground is, everything is separate to me here. So if you really care about everything flowing together and not having these little dots, fine, it's okay. You can do an initial wash. But what I find is that these washes are often done as a mechanism to progress the painting instead of actually following what you see. A lot of the time, that's how you paint. That's the default. But this default is never really contemplated in a deeper sense. And people don't understand why they do it. They just go for it and hope it's going to turn out well. I have no interest in having everything merged together, even in a first initial wash. I have no interest in that. Could it work? Of course. Could it work for many other people? Yes. To me, I don't think so. What I enjoy more is looking at individual shapes and painting them with my complete focus. That's actually what I like better. Especially when it's a shape that's surrounded by a lot of other shapes. I don't know, I love that. That's my rationale. It's going to be different for every different person. But I hope that makes sense, and do things your way. That's how it works. I never had any classes myself, only YouTube. Liron's my favorite. Thank you so much. Thank you. Desi, negative painting is all about shapes. I'm a flower detailed style painter. I'm not sure what that first, or slower detailed style painter. I got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm also self-taught. Jacqueline says, I'm also self-taught from YouTube for watercolors, farm Liron, and also Paul Clark. Yeah, I love Paul Clark. He's great. Arun, how can I stop overworking in my paintings? Yeah, I think that has to do more than anything with understanding how water and paint work together. And the only way to understand is to play around with them a lot in different situations, in different settings. A lot of paint, a bit water, a lot of water, a bit of paint, a lot of both. Seeing what happens. Instead of trying to obsessively paint things accurately, forget about that and just see if you can experiment with the color and see how it works on paper. Because once you get that, you just won't overwork anything. What I think most people do is they blindly follow tutorials or blindly follow references, usually even pictures they didn't take themselves, and they end up falling back on some preconceived process. And the process doesn't work for them, and the painting doesn't really excite them. What excites them is getting a good result. Whenever I paint, I'm not really excited necessarily about getting a good result. I'm more excited about portraying the reference. I'm happy about the reference itself. So I think that's where most people are leading themselves astray. Now, are there technical things that make you overwork your paintings? Yes, when you miss the timing of wetness. And I have a whole video about that, my most viewed video. Just go to the channel, filter by popular. It's my most viewed video, how to stop overworking your watercolors. But it's not a don't do this, it's rather here's what causes overworking your watercolors. The solution is to understand how water and paint behaves, and that way you won't be able to overwork it, because even if you do the things that lead to overwork for one person, for you it's going to get you closer to the result you want. It's very strange, but that's what's going to happen. The thing that other people will have turn into overwork, for you it's just going to work. I hope that helps. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, that was a good one for art philosophy. Yeah, I get it. And I struggled with that for a while. Cool. Jacqueline, I'm meeting some students at a coffee shop to watercolor together. Yeah, that's fun. That's always fun. You can look around, see things from the window that interest you. Yeah. Marina, thank you for being here. Hello. Desi, I like your painting the dark between the trees first. Yeah, that's kind of how I go at it. Whatever I see and makes me want to paint it, I paint it. And again, I look at this entire painting process as one big experiment. This is not my forte. I don't know why, because it's been a while. These pretty scenes with lots of colors are not my strength. We'll see what comes out of this one, but it's not my typical thing to paint. I'm more attracted to the nuanced colors and sharper contrasts, cityscapes, you know, that's kind of me. Tessie, so I asked what you're doing, everyone, and Tessie says, I'm unenthusiastically cleaning my oven. I absolutely hate cleaning an oven. That's the worst thing. That's the most unfun, uninspiring thing to me. Yeah, it's rough. Tinyface McGee, I'm trying to paint 100 birches like you did with cars. I feel like I'm getting worse, not better. It's fine, you know, I had a lot of moments where I felt like I'm getting worse in that challenge. Laura, I'm still on holiday. Awesome, enjoy it. Kate, hey, it's been a while. Thank you for being here, much appreciated. Oh, yeah, cool, Laura, working on portraits in my sketchbook. That's awesome. Yeah, Kate, I'm happy to see you here. It's been a while. Been a while here. I did see you on Instagram, I believe, recently. Arun, working on nothing, just studying watercolor. Okay, that's fun. Desi, we just had a windstorm with lightning, no power for almost 10 hours now, only 20% charge left on my phone. Many wildfires in the woods here. Yeah, I heard about a bunch of these. I don't know if it was windstorms. What I heard was a bit of a flood thing. Lots of rain and people's basements being flooded. That's a nightmare. We don't have barely any. It's not the norm to build basements, by the way, here. I don't know why. It's just how it is. But it's interesting. Yeah, that sucks. I hope it improves. Hopefully the power returns fast. We have some power outages, but nothing serious. No, not like natural disasters usually. But yeah, hopefully everyone is safe. That's the most important thing. Banani, hi, I finally made it again to join. How are you? Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Fiona, it will be good if you could add some stones, rocks into... Yeah, I'll try and do that. We'll see how it works out. Jyotishman, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. How can I show our works to you? You can find the email in my channel. Send it over. I'll take a look. Jennifer, hi Liron, nice to be here. I appreciate your style of teaching. Thank you. But Annie, I'm doing a face yoga. Okay, that's fun. And I guess you can do that everywhere, right? You can just use your face muscles. So let's continue. Let's see what we can do here to take this closer towards completion. Let's treat these couple of washes like one big shape and see how we do. This is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, if this wasn't for a live stream, this would be the exact moment where I take a pause and do another session later or tomorrow. So just so you know, that's why sometimes I get to a point in the painting where I just feel like, okay, it's a good time to stop and I'll just continue later. I am continuing it with you. This could lead to the decline in quality of results, just so you know. And we could take a pause and just continue in the next stream. I don't know why, it just doesn't feel right for me. It feels right for me to actually give you a complete process. So that's what we'll do for now, but just know that that's the kind of thing that happens. But we'll see. Well, let's try and complete this one. We'll see what happens. So you see I'm treating it more as one big shape, like you would more, I guess, traditionally see people do when they're more classically trained. They know more about what they're doing than me sometimes. But yeah, and then I push it to be a little darker towards the bottom. And here's a cool part. I'm gonna leave, there's this sliver of ground that's fairly yellow. I'm gonna leave that blank for now, because otherwise it's gonna blend together and I'm gonna lose my yellow. I'm gonna add a bit of warmth though here. Let's see how it fares. A bit of warmth towards the bottom. Just to kind of anchor this to the ground, I suppose, in a way. And then there's this piece of ground. Again, there's in the shadow, some of it is in the light. I will connect the areas that are in the shadow. And then hopefully, hopefully I could manage to paint the background as well in one go, but no guarantees there. So I'm gonna try and we'll see what happens. If I can get the background in as well, that would be wonderful. But just have in mind, my decision making could be a little impaired by how I naturally do things when it's not for a demo. Okay, just letting you know. I'm still having fun painting. It's not really about that. I think it's more about focus and perspective. This is something I don't talk about a lot actually, but if you've never done this before, if you feel like taking a pause, I very naturally do that quite often. So yeah, this would be the moment where I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna take a break, continue later or tomorrow. And sometimes you may reach this point and almost deny it of yourself. So I'm here to tell you it's perfectly fine, If you want to do that, it's very natural. And maybe I'll do that one of these streams. Maybe I'll also just decide, okay, we're stopping now. We'll continue the next time, the next stream, next day. For now, I do feel like completing this, so we'll see. But just generally, again, letting you know. And this section down here is pretty dark, I would say. Nothing really is black, but it's pretty dark. It's almost a mix of browns and greens, which I kind of like. So maybe around here I'm gonna brown it up a bit. Let's see. Just to give it again that anchored feeling. And yeah, that's gonna touch that shore directly, so I can just connect the two. Like this, go all the way here, like so. And we're still not done with those trees in the background. I'm actually, let's stop being lazy. I'm gonna switch over to the smaller brush. It's been a long time coming. There we go. Oops, I actually wanted the yellow. You know what, that still works. That still works somehow. So there's this tall tree here, more water. More water. Okay, that's good. And then just slowly building it up. These things are quite demanding when it comes to the nuance of shapes, the variety of shapes, the making them look natural. That to me can be a challenge sometimes, because I'm so accustomed to cars and cityscapes, stuff like that, that when I do have something like this all should be more yellow. I made it way too green, but that's fine. It sometimes can be a challenge. I'm gonna use that same, let's add a bit more yellow, the warmer yellow actually. And paint this tree here in the background. So this should cover the whole thing. I'm gonna make up a tree here. There we go. And then we have this tall tree around here. Left side is quite dark. Comes against these other trees here. I can cover this with yellow, by the way, later and improve it, so don't worry about that. And I'm gonna switch over to a bit more of a yellowy, warm look. Let's see if I can kind of make that happen. There we go. For the other side of the tree. And you see, I'm just building it up. I'm gonna add some darks to the bottom because that's where it gets quite dark. And that's where you also start meeting the waves. Now, the only thing I can do is hope again and know that these things are gonna connect together. I have no real guarantee, okay? There's no real guarantees here. Just doing my best and hoping that these things all connect together. A bit more yellow. And let's see what this looks like. So I'm gonna start light here, we'll see how it goes. Start with the lightest version. This should start being a little more greenish. I think around here. And that's me kind of painting it, you know, in smaller shapes, so to speak. And this here is that gap where you see trees through, and you know, I'm gonna just put a tree there. I don't care. Like this. And let's start darkening just very gently this internal area. And also behind that, I do see some darks. That was a bad brush mark, that last one, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. A bit more green here, and hopefully I'm starting to wrap around some darks. Now, I'm gonna push the darks here to be better, stronger, more accurate. So this here, no gap, and should be darker. Because that's what's gonna frame the water here. This should be darker. Now, this should be darker. This white spot is a miscalculation on my part. This here should be darker. The shadow behind could be darker. And you know, if you're looking at things and you're like, I'm unsure of what I'm looking at, same here. So for many of these shapes, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of seeing it, kind of don't. Now we have this background here. And we have the tree. So let me see how I'll approach this. There's a kind of natural warmth for the rocks at the back, which kind of looks like this color. So let's see if that works. A bit of this, maybe even warmer. Just a touch warmer. warmer. Warmer still. I need it to be a little more warm. That's more like it. Yeah, that's way better. And then it is wrapped around by greens. So that would be the cliffs and stuff like that. And we can continue with these greens, maybe making them a little brighter, lighter. Let me know if you would prefer me to do these demos in parts, kind of more like I would paint the scene if it wasn't for a demo. I'm curious to hear. My gut tells me to make sure I finish it, but my gut isn't always right. There's this nice road here. I want to capture that, so I'm going to be a little careful here. There we go. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to paint around these tree branches, around this tree, quite frankly, because we're barely going to see this background. And then I'm going to pause around here. And I kind of like the idea of continuing this background. So let me see if I can manage to capture that warmth there. There's a lovely warmth there on the ground. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. Just a little bit lighter. It's right here. There's this road. I don't know where it leads, but you can see some of it. And again, I'm working quite directly. Sometimes when you do that, you're gonna get a lot of interesting side effects. But that's pretty much the only way I know how to paint, just the way I'm kind of used to. And then we have this little piece of land or greenery. And I will probably use, just for now, a loose wash on this side. So let's see. I feel like I need to establish it with something lighter here, because there's a lot of see-throughs, and I want to make sure I properly establish what's behind. So, and that's a very warm ground, it feels like. See here? That's a very warm ground. I would add even a bit of red to some of these areas, like this. Okay, and now it starts to connect. Now it will take a moment to smoothen that out a bit onto the blues from earlier. We'll get a chance later to, make it look a little better, make it more smoother transition, whatever, but for now, how is that? I think that's pretty good for a yellow. I think that captures the essence of it. And as we get to this area, we're starting with the warmer kind of reddish grays. Let's add a bit of warmth here, and you'll tell me if it makes sense. Probably needs to be a little more neutral. I could add blue and some yellow, but we'll take the quick route and just add neutral tint or charcoal black, whatever this is. Now it doesn't need to be lighter, so wait a second. Let me do this. There we go. Now we have that edge of page disease that sometimes happens, where the paper looks like it's expired. I don't know exactly when that happens, but that's fine. But now we're starting to frame all the ripples and waves and stuff like that. Okay, good. Let's start establishing anything that's in the sky for now. Some greens. I'm gonna just take this towards its completion in the next couple of moments, so you wanna hold on tight. But it starts to get a nice sense of place, which is something I quite like. Okay, so I need this to be much warmer. Okay, that's better. Okay, some of these leaves, that makes sense for them. I'm trying to get a decent flow, but I'm still aware that a lot of these shapes are going to be almost standalone, independent shapes. Okay. I'm going to add the branches too in just a couple of moments. I want to start with this pattern though. It's a really fun process. It's a really, really fun process for me because, yeah, I don't normally let loose like that with a landscape. Very challenging too, but still quite fun. I'm going to switch over to something more of a brownish and start indicating some of these branches. Now, one thing to have in mind is there's a bit of lighter shapes here that I'll probably bring back with some opaque paint just for the branches here as well, just all throughout this area. There are quite a lot of branches that are lighter than the sky. They catch the light and they just go lighter. So I want to make sure I show that. And then in front of that, we do have the leaves that are green, like a bright green. And for those, I am going to use that same yellow from earlier, that lemon yellow. That would be pretty much the only way I know of showing that it's a green. And you'll see in a second. So I'm putting a bunch of these leaves. But then right next to them, I'm going to switch over to a bit of it's going to be still quite bright, but just to show the shadowy side of them, or the non-transparent light of the side of them, if that makes sense. It's not my strength, leaves, florals, stuff like that. I think the reason it's not my strength is just because it doesn't interest me as much as a subject compared to some of the other options out there for painting. But that's fine. You know, once in a while I enjoy these. Let's drop that main trunk here. So this is kind of a gray, a bit warm too. That looks interesting. Let's see if we can go with that. And I'm taking advantage of the fact that this area still needs to dry, so I paint the top part of the sky where it pretty much already dried a while back, right? That's why I'm working in this order. And then the side of the tree, I'm just going to use some water to help it move. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to pause here. Add a couple more of these branches. And I think we will take another quick break after that. I feel like I need to address some of what's going on paper. But yeah, just putting in a few small details just to carry us through. There's a bit of work here in this section and we'll be done. But yeah, I think we'll pause here. I really do wonder if I want to pause and continue with another stream separately, but we'll see. We'll see about that. There isn't much to do, but it's pretty significant. There we go. Okay, that was an intense wash. Okay, I'll go back. Yes, Jacqueline, yes, sometimes a painting needs a break, especially watercolor. Yes. When I'm working on this large commission, I'm taking tons of breaks. Sometimes almost every 15 to 20 minutes, I'll take a break. But yeah, so this is where we're at. As you can see, there's quite a lot to do. I think it represents it pretty well. So you see there's a lot of darks to still implement. Okay. If I were to wrap this up fast, like in one or two washes, it will be a blitz like the last couple of times. So I may do that. Well, let's see. Lol, seems you need to fill the blues in your palette. Yeah, I run out of blues always first, before everything else. Congo Gameplay, please suggest any color brand for beginners in budget. You are my favorite watercolor painter creator. Thank you so much. Much appreciated, Congo Gameplay. I really like White Knights. They're relatively cheap and good quality. People say My Merry Blue is the same, kind of good quality. I started with Van Gogh. They're good, but it's a hit or miss. Some colors don't work as well. Some do, but some don't. I just have to send this text. Sorry about that. So yeah, these are kind of the Van Gogh, White Knights, My Mary. The rest would be more expensive. So yeah, and I would say even better, just buy like 3-4 tubes and just use that, and then you can maybe spend it on a more expensive brand, but just buy 3 colors because you don't need much more than that. So yeah, Laura, I love how the sky turned out so very much your style. Thank you. It's very cool. I went through a sky phase and mine looks very different because I like pre-wetting the paper when painting skies. Yeah, I get it. And I could not have continued with that. You know, I tried it out. I tried pre-wetting and then it was very hard. I found that the best medium kind of most accurate path for me was to pre-wet it partially, very partially in areas I want loose edges, not pre-wet the whole thing. It always made a mess. I was never really happy enough with it. It's good for larger paintings maybe, where you really need to cover up large areas. Maybe I'll spray some water, but yeah, for the most part, it doesn't work as well for me. Dwayne, I totally understand the need to pause midstream. Sometimes I literally find I'm holding my breath while I paint. I don't know how you do these in one go. Yeah, for me, it's not as much about like holding my breath, or sometimes I will sweat though. It's more about sometimes I'll need space away from the painting to really give it what it needs, you know? I'll just need space and then I'll see it better. It's not even about seeing it with fresh eyes. It's about being more in tune with it, being more accurate to what you need. That's how I see it. Tiny Face McGee, on a value scale, would the white of the paper be brighter than white gouache, or is it the reverse? From my experience, the current paper I'm using, the paper white is as white as it gets. So the white gouache won't go lighter than the paper. To get that, usually you'll need tinted paper. Now, some papers do have this bit of a yellowy look to them. It's cream, you know, Arch has like, it's the same paper, there's cold press, hot press, all of that, but there's the cream variety to it. It's barely noticeable if you treat it as paper whites, but it is definitely there. So if you'll add a very thick white gouache, you will see it. But for the paper I'm using, this is as white as it gets. I won't be able to make it brighter than the paper, or lighter than the paper white, if that makes sense. Nancy, this painting looks great. I'm late again this week, so looking forward to watching the beginning later. Thank you so much. Jacqueline, this is really turning into a beautiful landscape, so dynamic and peaceful at the same time. Yeah, thank you, Jacqueline. And you know, if I really would want to paint it like as accurate as possible, I would paint it larger and I would treat every wash like I did the sky and the mountain. That's how I would paint like super slowly, meticulously. But yeah, that's not really live stream material. We can do that at some point, but yeah, it's usually a slower, much more boring approach, which I can do and I enjoy doing, depending on the desired result. But thank you so much. Jansart, you've achieved some great variety in greens, even if they depart from the photo, it looks great. Thank you. Yeah, there's still chance to make it closer to the photo, though I don't know if I want to. But it does show how I'm still quite bad at recognizing some certain colors. Like, there's a lot of work to be done there. Hey Marjorie, hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Lola, I'd prefer you finish it as we can get a complete idea of how to paint quickly. Yeah, we'll get it done. Jacqueline, how do you get that clean bright yellow from your palette? Just dig through the pen until I find it like gold. Desi D. Clark, it's helpful to mention your natural pause points. Both seem good to complete all in one go and in another tutorial. Okay, good. Marjorie, I would like to see how you approach getting back to a painting after it is dried completely. Okay, no, that could be a good topic for a video. Janzar, there are times I have to stop every 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm the same, especially if you really have to focus. Other times I push on for hours, many different moods. Yes, yeah, I get that. I feel the same. Marjorie, so painting in stages with breaks sounds great. Okay, cool, thank you. We'll save it for another stream. Maybe I'll do like a slower process from the get in a future stream. Tiny Face McGee, do you have ever meltdowns? I'd be interested to see that. Do you ever have meltdowns? I think if you look through all of my YouTube videos, you'll find maybe one instance of me almost melting down. I had one stream where I kept getting interrupted. There was a delivery where I don't mind if it has to happen, but if you ask for people specifically to make it in time, which means they have a 2-hour or 3-hour window that they offer, and that window ends 2 hours before the stream or 3 hours before the stream, and they get there just in time for you to start the stream 2 or 3 hours late, that could annoy me. Sometimes I'll even tell someone, just postpone it. If you can't make it by this hour, postpone it. Not because I'm trying to be mean, just because I'll need to be focused. And then it still happens, I got it. You can hear the meltdown building up. So it happened a couple of times on stream. Once I remember really vividly. But yeah, a real meltdown that happens in private. It doesn't happen much, but sometimes a specific subject matter will drive me nuts. It happens like once a year, something I try to paint. I feel like I have a good understanding of it and I don't. And that really, really bugs me, and then I'll have a mini meltdown. That happens usually like once a year, twice a year. Usually it could happen once 2 years, every 2 years. It's not as common, but it can happen. It does happen from time to time. Maybe I can capture it live another time, like a more serious meltdown. But I won't have a... What do I see lately on the YouTube homepage? A boogie level meltdown. That's something that happens now. That's in the air, in the zeitgeist. Daiji, my friend, hey, hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Happy you made it. Marjorie had to leave for a couple of minutes. Came back to see all the elements pulled together. Amazing. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, let's continue. Let's push this. Okay, let's combine everything, the best of both worlds, and push this towards completion. So I'll work fast, intuitive. Let's see where that gets us, okay? So I'm gonna have a thin glaze of yellow here, quite a bit of warmth, because I wanna see if I can just push this to be a little warmer. I think it'll look a little better. And that's enough, that does the trick. Now, let me produce a nice, vibrant, bright kind of brown yellow just to capture the ground here and here over this thing that's supposed to be kind of a shore, so that kind of puts it in its place. Now as for this area right here, if you really want to just go for it, it's still going to be rough, but we can try. So there's a bunch of leaves here that we can treat pretty much the same we have before. So I'll just put in something that's quite bright, but then I'll envelop it with a bit more of a neutralized green. I'll try treating things as shapes again in this section of the painting. It should be much more neutral, Let me just neutralize this into an almost gray-green. That's more like it. Okay, that feels much more natural, but the main thing, the most important bit here is actually the bottom. So let me show you. I'm gonna extend that tree trunk from earlier, whatever that was. Right here, I'm just gonna extend it over everything and also some of the rest, but look at what's gonna happen here. See, there's a big shadow that kind of groups it all together. And it comes in a variety of colors. But honestly, I feel like if I really want to get a perfect result, I'll have to pause. But let's not pause, let's just go for it. Maybe I can post like an improvement of it or a correction of it or an enhancement of it in the future. We'll see. But yeah, you really do need this clump of shadows that has quite a bit going on there. And then I would say I'm gonna merge it directly with a darker version of the ground. So let me see if I can try and match that. It's not, I don't know why, it's not the easiest color to match, but I think this gets close to it. So let's see if I can get started with that color. Is it too dark? I don't know. And I have this edge of paper disease. I don't know what that is. The paint doesn't seem to register well on the paper there. I don't know why. It's so strange. But we'll get through it. I'm gonna add a bit of this yellow to give this more of a punch. Something like that. There we go. Same for the background here, by the way. And then it's gonna turn into a bit of a gray orange. I'm gonna have to add a bit of blue to get this more of a gray edge. Again, you're gonna have to paint the way that makes most sense to you. If you find that you need to take a break, just do it. I'm gonna probably pause after this last attempt, so to speak, and just pause. I'd rather just pause than force myself to get a result that I'll need to take a break in order to achieve. So we'll do our best, but in short, yes, I would definitely take a break. Should have taken that break earlier. That's just the truth of it. And that's what happens when you don't listen to yourself. It's fine, you know. I'm making content here. And it's not like a commission, work for a client, a painting I've been spending a lot of time on. It's just a painting. But yeah, just something to be aware of. Because I can feel it. Like, I can really feel it. Okay, good. That's a little darker. That's fine. I don't know why this always happens to the edge of the paper, but I guess it's good that it only happens in the edge. Now I'm gonna use that same gray, probably make it a little warmer. And lighter. Because there are some really little ripples I want to include here. Something like that. Some of these lights barely register in the camera, which is funny. Wasn't planning for it to be that way, but that's fine. And then this needs to just be green. Something like this. Now, just, you know, because of time, I'm gonna use opaque paint. I'm gonna mix it with a warm just to show you what it should have been for a lot of these branches. It's very hard, honestly, to preserve these kinds of highlights, so I wouldn't even bother. I'd probably do this the same way if I worked longer on it too. But what this kind of needs is a pale warm. So I'll use a mix of this yellow and my kind of burnt sienna to produce, I think this is close. Let's see if it's close. This is the lights that you almost had to preserve for the branches, if that makes sense. Hopefully they come through well. I would honestly even add a bit of red, making them more pink. I don't know if it's gonna look light against the sky. Once it dries, when it's wet, it looks good to me, but I'm not sure. And one thing to remember, you're gonna have pauses. So for example, you'll have a light, pause. Why pause? Because there's a branch here that casts a shadow. This is the kind of thing that will happen often. So you want to be aware of that. Again, if you're gonna do this a little slower, a little more accurate, these are the kinds of things you'd notice earlier on, okay? And there's a bunch of these small branches around here. I would probably just do this here for the tree trunk. You can use a piece of tissue to smoothen it out a bit, but yeah. There are some gaps here that I left. You know what, I can just cover those. And you could go for a stronger color too if you want. Let's say you want to go for a stronger brown. The only issue you may run into is that it's going to dry a little darker. Maybe it won't get as light as it needs to be. See? This is quite a pink color combination. And of course, there's a lot in this mess. There are a lot of things I haven't included. There are also darks. So you could, again, we're just kind of wrapping it up, but had I done this differently, it would have worked very differently, let's say. But there are stronger darks on this tree trunk, especially as you get to the bottom areas here. These are much stronger darks. The highlighted side honestly looks a little more like just this, I would just call this kind of a red, you know? For the dark side, for the light side too, I'd go with a bit more of a red to indicate that color. Just a bit more of a red. Even more of a pyrrole red. But you see, let me take a look for a second here. I feel like, let's get this neutral green here going. I feel like some areas here should be darker in between the branches that I kind of missed. Same here. But it's sometimes hard to discern a pattern unless you really unpack it slowly or paint large enough. This is really small. This is a small painting. So just be aware of that. And I would probably strengthen this thing here in the background, the mountains around the tree, right? Again, I'm giving you kind of what I would do if I'm taking this towards completion, but this is much faster than I would. I would probably devote a little more time to these things. And kind of lost the road here with all of this mess, so I could bring it back. Just very gently, the light road, bring it back. Kind of like that. That's how I would do it probably. I would really may end up finding the pattern here below as well. Let's see. I really don't like starting slow and meticulous and then going wild. If I started wild and then I continue, so be it. But I would prefer the process to be consistent, but that's fine. So yeah. And then if there are patterns within that, like this goes a little darker. This area here goes a little darker. This here should have been lighter. I could have kept the gaps between them just kind of this yellow, honestly. See, I'm just showing you some of my mistakes kind of after the fact. See here. But yeah, I think this is a good place to pause, ponder. One thing that does bug me, you can see some of the water through all of this, believe it or not. Somewhere around here. That's just water showing through the trees. And there's some of these leaves. Let me see if I can get that. So just to tie in the foreground and background and show that these leaves come from this branch and that they're in front, okay? Probably I could improve this shape in the background to tie it all together better, but that's fine. There's a lot, you see, there's a lot of improvements that I can now spend more time on this and get it closer. Ideally, again, if I would pause on time, I would get started on these improvements back then. That's the point, okay? But yeah, that kind of makes a separation between the foreground and the background just a bit to make it clearer how things are structured. like so. And yeah, I did want to darken this area a lot. If I can, this should be much darker. Most of it, at least. Well, I guess this is decent enough. Would probably also strengthen this shadow, but you know what, let's go for it just a bit. All of this could be more in the shadow. But you see, there's like a million of these small adjustments you can make to improve it. Let me scan this for you. I'll just let it dry for a couple of moments and I'll scan it for you. And hopefully you'll like the end result to a decent extent. But yeah, I told you, this is all kind of an experiment. It's not my usual scene. It's way too bright and pretty for me, as they say. Let's read what you're saying. Yes, meltdowns are funny. Does he have a mini meltdowns from animal interruption, not giving myself enough space to work? And yeah, I get that. Especially, I think, with cats. So sometimes dogs too, but cats mostly. Ruth is really great. I wish she'd sit more next to me as I paint, honestly. Yeah, Jacqueline, your dogs also bark. I don't mind. But if they do want outside, inside, that's a mess. This is very helpful, Liron. We need to see the process to understand the results. Yes. Thank you so much, Desi. Oh, that's a beautiful place, probably. Clark Fork River. Jacqueline, where is this, Liron? Beautiful. You know, I have the reference photo in the description box. We can check. I'm not sure. So where it says original reference photo, does it give a location? I think it might be German, because the profile who uploaded it is appears to be German. So it's somewhere in Germany. It's not the US, probably. That's as good as I can, you know. There are some comments on the photo. But yeah, if anyone speaks German, they can maybe try and figure it out in the comments there. But yeah, you can find the link below. Brenda, thank you for pushing through and sharing your insights, sending best wishes. Thank you so much. Jacqueline, do you ever splatter? I don't think I've seen you do that. I have in some occasions. Not much, but I have done that before. I have nothing against it. Sometimes it works. Usually I don't really have a need for it. Laura, thank you for sharing your process. It's extremely insightful to see the thought process. Cool. I'll try doing more. Desi adding red, then road on left. Excellent. Thank you. Kano, which three colors should I buy first? Yeah, I would go with quinacridone rose. That's PV19. Lemon yellow probably would work best. I think it's pigment PY3. I'm not sure. I could be mistaken. Maybe it's 43. It depends on the brand, but let's see. Daniel Smith, lemon yellow. Let's see what pigment they use. PV19 for sure. That's your red. It's kind of a pinkish red, but it's a red. Lemon yellow by Daniel Smith is pigment yellow 175. And honestly, for a blue, it's a bit tricky. I think cobalt blue works best, but you'll have to see which brand does the most neutral. If you look online, you'll find a bunch of tables comparing blues. Let's see. Okay, so if you do a Google search for cobalt blue, okay, just a Google search, cobalt blue, the color that you find that Google tells you is cobalt blue, find the blue that looks the most similar to that. That's what I would go with. Cyan could work well too. Let's see, cyan blue. What does Google consider? Cyan blue could work as well. If you search for cyan blue and you can find something that actually looks similar, it would work for you as well. I'm sorry I don't have a good recommendation. Everyone will recommend French ultramarine, phthalo blue. I find the more I paint that these aren't as good for like an initial triad. So that's the best answer I can give. Hopefully that helps. Pence Palacio, hi Liron, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, my friend. Hope everything is well with you. Thank you so much. Oh, looks beautiful, much appreciated. Buzzo, how have you been? Haven't been here in a while. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube sometimes chooses to ignore the channel and then it chooses to promote the channel. Whatever it wants, the algorithm gods. Banani, I really like it because of the painterly look. I admire your approach. Thank you so much. Lola, oh, my cat messes with my paintings and brushes. I don't mind it at all as I see it as collaboration. That's really optimistic, so that's awesome. It would annoy the crap out of me, but yeah. Pence Palacio sent some of my paintings in Instagram. Hope you can check it out sometime. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look. Buzzo, the profile with the ref on Pixabay is Dutch, not German. Really? Okay, my bad. I was sure it's German. I can't tell the difference between the two probably as well as I'd want to, but let me take a look again. Okay, interesting. I just looked at the language and I'm like, okay, it's German, but probably got it wrong. My bad. Oh yeah, now I see the difference. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Cool. So it's somewhere there, probably in Netherlands. Probably somewhere there. That would be my guess for the view. Though I can't guarantee it, really. Let's see here. Buzzo, I've been just busy and forgetting to join. It's not the algorithm's fault. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like there was a wave of a lot of people being busy and not watching as many videos. So it's almost dry. I could take the risk and just put it in the scanner. Let me wave it a bit. I mean, you can see it here. It's pretty close. Kind of close, not really. But yeah, no, I should probably darken this and darken. There's a lot of modifications to do here. Honestly, there's a lot to do here. Maybe I'll do once again, like, I'll do some improvements if I feel like it and then post the difference on Instagram, show the before and after. Maybe that would be interesting. I think that would be a good thing to do. But this is a pretty accurate representation. I don't even have to scan it. That's pretty much what it looks like. It's cute. Again, if you're not fully passionate about what you're painting, you're gonna run into trouble. And for me, it's a cool scene. Too colorful. But yeah. Let's see. And I think I did a really decent job considering, right? But again, you notice when something really fires you up, you're gonna get a much better result. I don't know why colors, like, I like colors to an extent, but not as much when it's like tons of greens. I'm more of a fan of yellows, reds, blues, which cityscapes lend themselves much better to that kind of a thing, I think. Fish, thank you so much for being here. That's a lot of pictures. I can't tell what I'm looking at. So sorry, it looks a bit like Shrek, but it could be something completely different. Ryan, hey Liron, just tuned in now. Painting looks great. Yes, quinacridone rose is a must. Also, I like Hansa Yellow light. Blue depending, phthalo is staining, ultramarine is granulating. Yeah, I know, you can't really win with these two blues. I would say Hansa Yellow light is also tricky, but it could work. Jacqueline just shows how beautiful our world is. That is true, for sure. Gopal, I really improved my watercolors thanks to you. Thank you so much. Makes me very happy to hear. You know, I see a bunch of older videos kind of exploding and that makes me really happy. You know, suddenly I'll get a wave of comments over a specific painting, which is quite satisfying to see. Let me kind of, as we're wrapping it up, I'll share with you where I'm at. I did show it on Instagram, where I'm at with the large painting. It's kind of a tradition now to update you on streams. So I'll do that and then we'll get close to wrapping it up. Thank you, Jacqueline. You like my painting better than the photo. That's really something, I have to say. Thank you so much. Buzzo, Dutch and German do look similar, so the confusion is expected. To me, Dutch is just looks German, but yeah, it's funny. I think one thing I did notice is that Dutch has a lot of shorter words, where I know German has a lot of longer words too. But it could be just my anecdotal kind of findings. Go Paul, and by watercolor means my drawing improved. Oh, cool. So both, I guess. Maybe not just watercolor. Let me bring it up on the screen. Download. Just to show you real quick how it's going with this one. Patience. This is a completely different process. I take, again, like you mentioned here, by the way, I'll take a break every 10 minutes sometimes just because I need to focus. Be really on it. But if you haven't seen, this is what I've got so far. Downloads. There we go. So this is where I'm currently at with this one. Thank you, Ruth. Good timing. Ruthie. So this is where I'm at. Hopefully you can see the details. Let me just go like this. There we go. So yeah, I'm starting to add the water, as you can see, just around here. And it's complex, but it's starting to take shape and things start to fall into context. So yeah, if you really want to get a result that you're happy with, it really means doing everything for it. And a lot of it is just stopping, breathing, taking a break, doing something else. That's a big part of it. You know, I should talk about that a bit more. Now, if you're in a blitz and you feel like you're all in and it works well, you know, you don't have to. Don't never force yourself to do anything. If you don't need a break, don't take one. That's how I find it I am. Abanani, don't change how to me it is perfect, but you can choose to ignore this comment. Okay, cool. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It seems like people have. And I think we'll move closer to wrapping it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Ruth on a walk. Buy a bunch of things we did. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned this entire week. So I spent all of Sunday and Monday just filming shorts for you. Tons of shorts. As you may have noticed, there wasn't a proper long video on Tuesday. As of now, I don't have a proper long video for Saturday as well. I just have a short scheduled for every day of the week. I don't know, I'm doing an experiment just to see how these do. You see, it's a bit outside the box of my box at least, trying to make it more appealing, more, you know, just for fast consumption. But don't worry, I'm gonna, next week, we'll surely be back with longer videos or more of a straightforward demos, I guess, even if it's quicker and more for beginners. But yeah, you might have noticed that. Bazo, how do you paint giant paintings? Do you have a giant table, or do you use the floor, or do you have only a section on the table at a time? It's kind of a mix of all of these. I don't have a giant table. I had one in the previous apartment, not the last one, the one before that. Here I don't, so I use the just table in the living room, or I'll just, you know, I'll roll some parts of it over and work on a small section. And sometimes on the floor too. Sometimes I'll hang it from something like I did with Ponte Vecchio. This one I didn't have to because it's a lot of smaller shapes. That's how I do it usually. Jacqueline, wow, it's so big and you don't staple it down. No, I don't. My large paintings I put on plywood with staples. Yeah, I don't really need to. It's such a huge piece of paper that whatever. It buckles and it curves where I paint it. And some of it is flat, some of it is more curved. It's fine. It's gonna flatten once framed, and in the grand context of everything, it's gonna flatten. It's gonna look flat. So you really don't have, ironically enough, you don't have to worry about it when it comes to larger paintings. One thing that was fun for me was taking the larger paintings to be professionally scanned. Hopefully I'll be able to do it with this one too. We'll see. Jacqueline, shorts help bring people to my channel, but I like doing the live video once a week. Hopefully people stay for long content. I do like your shorts. According to my YouTube analytics, the shorts did get people to watch the longer videos. It's not always like this. It really depends on the algorithm, you know. You can never really know, but yeah, that's what I noticed at least. It's really down to the algorithm. And what I find is I just don't enjoy satisfying the algorithm. I enjoy making things that people enjoy watching. So I just do that. It can be really tiring to just try and hack the algorithm. Lola, thanks, Liron. It was so nice to see you painting and talking today. Thank you so much. Nancy, by the way, thank you so much for being here. Desi, what kind of large paper lets you fold in thirds and reopen them? Oh, I don't fold in thirds. I roll. You can't fold. Folding is a no-no. It's at the end of the day, it is paper. If you fold it, it's never good. You're gonna get a crease there. You know, some creases are okay. It's not the end of the world. When you handle a huge piece of paper, you're gonna get some creases just by the weight of it. That's not a big issue, but you can't actually fold it. All you can do is roll it. And you can actually see it rolled behind me. That's the painting, rolled behind me. By the way, here's your scoop. Let me show you. This is it. This is the large painting. Let me get rid of this photo. It's right here. So when you paint this large of a painting, you can handle the paper no problem. Let me just open it up and show you. There you go. It's a huge painting. And you can very easily roll it. It's very durable. When it's this size, it's really okay to roll it like that. So I wouldn't worry about this. In fact, it's impossible not to roll it. But anyway, I don't like shorts in general. Yeah, you know, I can fall down the rabbit hole and watch a bunch of them if it's about something I care about. But yeah, I don't feel like it'll ever be a staple on my channel unless everyone wants it. But if my viewers don't want it and they want longer videos, more technical videos, I'll always have that as my default. And you know, I'm in a good spot because I have how many videos on the channel? Like probably, yeah, 1,300 videos. There is an endless supply of tutorials on my channel. You can find just about any topic. So if you want to watch, you'll have for days, you know, just watch tutorials. For those who have been here from the start, and there's quite a lot of you, thank you so much. You've probably watched most of it. Some people have said they watched every video or every watercolor video. So there will be new stuff, obviously, but I'm in a good spot where I can just take a break for a couple of weeks and just do shorts or do posts, just pictures. And there's enough breadth of content for new viewers or kind of not really, really old viewers. And the one worry is, you know, the algorithm is going to penalize me for, is it penalize? Will the British say penalize? I don't know, I'm not sure. But yeah, it might penalize you for a break. If it does, it does. What can you do? I'll do my best to promote once I'm back to posting, you know. But yeah, I'm in a good spot where I can afford to take a 2 weeks break, and nothing's gonna happen because there's so much content to watch and people are always discovering the old content, always. My most viewed video on how to stop overworking your watercolors, that has like 1.5 million views, which is crazy. That has, let me confirm that fact. Popular, yeah, how to not overwork your watercolors, 1.5 million views. I still get comments on this video every single day because a lot of people watch it, you know. Rooster Blue, I'm in 113 minutes in. Sorry I'm late, no worries. Thank you for being here. Lola, thank you so much. Oh yeah, we read that. Marjorie, thank you so much as well. Jacqueline, what about the community tab? Does that bring people to your channel? So I'm not sure. It does have great engagement. So when I post a photo, it gets more likes than a video. Now, does that mean people then go and watch a video? I don't think so. Could it be that one in a couple of people end up checking out the channel, discovering it, checking it out, and maybe adding a video to their watch later playlist? Yes. it can mean that. I definitely get more likes, I think, on community posts. It just gets more because you just look at a picture and you drop a like. You don't have to commit to a video. That's probably the reason. So if I go to, let's say, it's okay, this isn't interesting for everyone, but that's fine. Let's look at like my gouache painting video that has like 4K views, 305 likes. Now if I look at my community post, just a post. So the post that says here's a painting and a video of it has 254 likes. If I post a painting, it has 700. This one has 800 likes. 1.1K, 1K. Yeah, it just gets more likes, but I don't know if it gets views. I have no idea. I don't know if I can even check it. I don't know if their analytics are good enough to show it. It shows it for shorts, not for posts. Lola, algorithm is a tools of techno-fundalism we go through. By the way, I hope I'm not confusing you. You're Lola, right? I've called you Lola all the live streams. I have bad retention of usernames from one stream to another, so my apologies. Feudalism, we go through at our time. It's an interesting theory by a Greek guy, Varoufakis. Check it out if you're interested. Interesting. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos on social media lately. People are starting to wake up to the unintended consequences, which is a part of it. Jacqueline, my paper doesn't move like that. Mine is very stiff, tightly rolled. Yeah, but again, the larger the piece of paper is, the more it's going to allow you to do that. So I don't know if it's the paper, unless it's a 600 gram, then it's a different story. This is 300 grams. But if it's the same weight, same brand kind of thing, it should, equivalent brand, it should handle the same. But I don't know. Bazo, where do you even get such a big piece of paper? I ordered from Jackson's Art Supplies a 10-yard arch roll. So it's 10 yards over 120 centimeters of a roll that you can just unroll as much as you want. You are limited to the 120 centimeters width, but the length, you can roll it up as much as you want. So that's how I got it. Nancy, that's amazing and looks awesome. Thank you. Jacqueline, Bazo, I got a roll from Bleak Art. Yeah, same. I think it's the same roll. Marina, time to rewatch. Thank you so much. Laura, I enjoy both long and short formats. You're one of the few artists that do shorts. It's nice to also see these, since art ones are so rare. There's actually quite a lot of them. I do see a lot of artists doing shorts, but the format of the shorts is questionable. Some of them are more clickbaity. Some of them are more the meta around being an artist. But I do see processes. I do see them. I think among watercolorists, kind of the small, tight niche of representational watercolors, not a lot of people do them. But if you look outside of it, the more illustrations, the more wider appealing channels that still do watercolor, it's more common. Marjorie, I have some health, I think, health care here now and must go. It's been great to see you live after 6 weeks or more. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for being here. Hoping that every time you join a live stream, I can kind of make it a fun time for everyone. Thank you so much. Laura, you had a video once where you painted some fruit or something directly on paper. I find these concepts super useful when doing portraits and stuff. It all translates. Totally agree. Yeah. And sometimes it's so funny. With one subject matter, you're dodging bullets in the matrix, like everything is easy. And then with a different subject, you don't. And it's so random sometimes. And I've always been curious, how can I transfer that skill from a place where I can use it to a place I'm not yet able to use it. So yeah. The one with the reflective light was also a lot of food for thought. Yes, awesome. And thank you so much, Lola, for encouraging everyone to hit the like button. Yes, I am Lola. It's my fault to have different names on Google and Insta and all. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, I'm happy I got it right. And thank you for encouraging everyone to like it. Kate, I don't have time these days, to be honest, though. I always check up your channel just to be sure that I didn't miss anything. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you so much. I'm personally am probably as busy as I've ever, busier than I've ever been. So I get it. I'm only catching up with the few creators I follow. I do try to catch up with as much as I can, but yeah, it's tough. It's a busy time for everyone, it seems. I don't know why. I'm not sure why it is. Maybe we can discuss it in the next stream. It's interesting. But yeah. In any case, thank you so much for watching this long. Really do appreciate it. I may end up posting another improved version of this. Maybe I'll post it as it is. Maybe I'll do it before and after. We'll see. Take the breaks, paint however you want. Really, not because I say so, just because it's supposed to be full fun, joy, freedom, and that's the best way to get that. But in any case, thank you so much. We'll wrap it up now, and I will see you in the next video. Maybe it's going to be a short, maybe it's going to be a long video, we'll see, but definitely a couple of shorts coming on the way. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.